Welcome to Land of the Bible. I'm David Sussman. Join us on this week's adventure as we continue to travel through the Holy Land.
זכותו הטבעית של העם היהודי להיות ככל עם ועם עומד ברשות עצמו.
When David Ben Gurion looked at the Negev desert, he didn't see emptiness. He saw the future.
אשר תפתח לרווחה את שערי המולדת לכל יהודי ותעניק לעם היהודי.
While others saw a barren wasteland, he saw a place of potential, a place where the Jewish people could root themselves deeply, build new communities, and shape a national destiny.
לפיכך נתכנסנו אנו חברי מועצת העם.
He called the Negev the test of the Jewish people and the Jewish state. In this episode, we'll explore how Ben Gurion's bold vision for this vast and arid region reshaped the map of modern Israel.
אנו מכריזים בזאת על הקמת מדינה יהודית בארץ ישראל. היא מדינת ישראל.
We'll follow the story of how the desert, long written off as lifeless, was reimagined as the foundation for national renewal. We'll trace how this vision grew from speeches to settlements, from principle to policy.
מתוך ביטחון בצור ישראל הננו חותמים בחתימת ידינו.
This is the story of how one man's dream transformed a desert and continues to challenge the soul of the nation.
לעדות על הכרזה זו.
At the time of Israel's founding in 1948, over 60% of the new nation's landmass was desert. The Negev, sprawling from Beersheba to Eilat, was sparsely populated, largely undeveloped, and often dismissed. But Ben Gurion believed that neglecting the Negev would be a strategic and moral failure. For him, the desert was more than geography. It was identity, a chance to prove that the Jewish return to the land meant all the land, that Zionism was not about comfort, but commitment. He once wrote, "The Negev is not a place to escape from, but a challenge which we must respond." Ben Gurion understood that holding the land meant developing it. If Israel failed to populate and cultivate the southern half, it would never be secure or whole. The early Zionist movement had focused on the Galilee and the coastal plain. But the founding of kibbutzim and moshavim in the south marked a new frontier. Map overlays and historic footage show how these pioneering settlements began to dot the landscape, often with nothing but a water pipe and a generator. This wasn't romantic idealism. It was survival through sweat. In 1953, Ben Gurion, then recently retired from government, moved to Kibbutz Sde Boker. Located in the central Negev, this small agricultural community was remote and underdeveloped. His decision stunned the nation. The former prime minister living in a hut, working alongside farmers in the fields. It defied every political instinct except his own. He wasn't trying to prove a point, he was trying to live one. Ben Gurion believed that personal example could change national policy. He wrote from Sde Boker, "Only if we make the desert our home will it cease to be a desert." Footage shows Ben Gurion in simple clothes, planting trees, walking through dusty paths of the kibbutz. Interviews from former residents describe him as humble yet driven. His house, preserved to this day, tells the story. Books stacked on wooden shelves, a narrow bed, a small desk. This was not a retreat, it was a base of operations.
Imagine walking where Jesus walked, where faith comes to life. Feel the Bible story unfold around you, from the green Galilee to Jerusalem's ancient streets. Experience the serene and welcoming land of the Bible, where miracles happen. Put your heart where His footsteps are. Visit Israel.
To make the desert bloom required more than idealism. It needed science. Ben Gurion pushed for research stations, agricultural labs, and technological experiments. He helped fund programs that explored soil hydration, desalination, and solar energy, decades ahead of their time. Places like the Arava Institute and the Ramat Negev Research and Development Center became test beds for desert agriculture. Drip irrigation, brackish water farming, solar arrays tracking the sun. These weren't just technological breakthroughs, they were philosophical statements. The desert was not to be conquered, it was to be understood, made productive, not by force, but by partnership. Israeli scientists explain how they're exporting desert farming techniques around the world from Africa to India. This isn't just a national project, it's a global one. One of the incredible ways that Israel irrigates its desert is by reclaiming wastewater from an area known as Gush Dan. Now, Gush Dan also comprises Tel Aviv and the various cities that surround it, nearly 2 million people. The wastewater that is produced in their homes, from their sinks, washing machines, and even their toilets, is completely 100% recycled. Not a single drop of waste is spilled into the Mediterranean Sea or other water sources. Rather, it is completely recycled in this massive center located in the center of Israel. Once the waste arrives there in these massive pipes, the first thing they need to do is to take out all of the solid waste. And unfortunately, most of this is non-organic, but rather baby wipes that have been flushed in the toilets. This takes an incredible amount of time and energy. From there, it goes through a series of stages where not chemicals, but rather microorganisms are used to eat at the organic waste. Those microorganisms are then turned into fertilizers. The rest of the water is brought to these huge pools where it drips naturally through the ground, taking roughly about 6 months before it enters the coastal aquifer. At that time, it is 100% clean, where it is pumped up and then transferred to the Negev through the water infrastructure. Once in the Negev, it is used by farms to irrigate, proving that Israel's ingenuity is reshaping the way we think of agriculture, not just in the desert, but all around the world. Due to all of this incredible innovation, 70% of Israel's agriculture is actually grown in our various deserts, whether it's the Negev, the Arava, the Judean, or a little bit of the Sinai Desert that creeps up into the areas around Eilat. Desert farmers are also using another type of Israeli innovation known as drip irrigation. These aren't just simple hoses with holes poked through them. These are scientific hoses that have sensors on the inside that can also filter out any dirt that may be trying to get into the hose, which obviously would cause the water to become blocked. These hoses are used across Israel, not just in the Negev, but in the Negev, they are most important, as a lot of water can just simply evaporate. Rather, the drip irrigation gives the precise amount of water that each plant needs, wasting a minimal amount of water. Farmers are also growing strawberries in the Negev desert, and they are doing this through aeroponics. The way it's done is they take the husk of a coconut, they grind it up using that as the soil for the strawberry plant. They then elevate it above ground. This is where the name aeroponics comes from. They'll use drip irrigation to water the strawberry plants. Whatever water is not needed that drips through those coconut husks will then go down into a tube, brought to a bucket, and be recycled even further, wasting even less water. Another common crop that you can find in the desert are the cherry tomatoes. Cherry tomatoes were actually designed right here in Israel, and we literally have dozens of different kinds of cherry tomatoes. These are grown in greenhouses in the Negev desert as well as the Arava. Using these methods, Israel has been able to make the desert bloom, literally recycling water over and over and over again without wasting a single drop. Now, how's that for Israeli innovation? Anyone who's visited Israel and driven through the desert regions is left in awe at the sight of the date farms. Just imagine you're driving through a vast wilderness of brown, lifeless rock, and then rising up like a phoenix from the ash. You see these incredible green orchards filled with date palms. Many of the dates that are eaten around the world are grown right here in the deserts of Israel. Let's now meet one of the desert farmers here in Israel that's helping to make the desert bloom.
So here we have a beautiful garden, right? We have cherry tomatoes. There is nothing like picking a fresh cherry tomato, hot peppers, eggplants, strawberries, chives, everything you could think of growing naturally. In biblical times, you lived in the city. If you were a politician, if you were a money trader, you had a business that was, a city-type business, majority of the people did not live in the cities. They lived outside the cities where we are, in the farms. They were farmers. The only reason they would go into the cities was either to sell their produce or if there was war and they needed protection. What we've been doing here is recreating what our biblical life would have been like here during the times of the kings and the prophets. And what we have here is not only pretty much every type of plant that you could dream to put in your salad, but also we're using the same ancient techniques. Behind me is a natural spring, and that natural spring is the source of water for all the agriculture, and there are channels that are created to irrigate each different section. And these channels would be open during times that section would have needed watering, and there were secondary channels specific to each plant. And so what we're doing here is the work that our ancestors would have been doing here during the times of the Bible. That's amazing.
Another way that Israel is acquiring water to irrigate the deserts is through desalination, and Israel is at the forefront of this industry. Now, desalinated water can come from two sources, either from the sea or from brackish water. Now, the sea, in order to get water from there, you just pump it out and run it through these cylinders at a very, very high pressure. Brackish water is going to come from wells that are dug deep into the ground. Now, this serves two purposes: desalinating the water for irrigation, as well as preventing that salinated water from going into the coastal aquifer that we talked about before, which, if the salinated water goes in there, it can basically ruin the entire reservoir. Both sources are going to be desalinated using the same process, which is taking that water at an extremely high pressure and running it through these cylinders that takes out all of the minerals and salt. Once that's completed, it can be used for either drinking or irrigation. I wanted to share some insights into Israel's highly advanced water management systems, which have been crucial to the nation's development and sustainability. A key player in this success is Mekorot, Israel's national water company, which has been instrumental in developing and maintaining a comprehensive water infrastructure since its establishment in 1937. The country has developed significant technological expertise in various aspects of water management, including innovative methods for collecting surface water, drilling groundwater wells, desalination of brackish and seawater, and reclaiming wastewater for agricultural use. These advancements highlight Israel's commitment to overcoming water scarcity through ingenuity and technological leadership. Currently, several national projects are underway to further enhance Israel's water capabilities. These include the construction of a new water carrier designed to transport desalinated water to northern Israel, as well as the ongoing rehabilitation efforts for the Sea of Galilee and the development of new facilities for storing and conveying desalinated water from plants in central Israel and the western Galilee. Furthermore, 450 new drought wells are being drilled, and the Arava region and Beit Shean Valley are being connected to the national water system to expand coverage and improve efficiency. Mekarot manages an extensive network of over 3,000 facilities and 13,000 kilometers of pipelines, ensuring a reliable water supply for more than 10 million residents across Israel. A comprehensive master plan for agriculture in the Negev desert and the Arava region is being implemented, showcasing Israel's dedication to sustainable agricultural practices in arid environments. Israel remains committed to continuously developing its water infrastructure, especially in the periphery, to ensure equitable access and long-term water security for all its citizens.
I will bless those who bless you, God promised Abraham. Embrace this covenant by connecting with the people of Israel. From Jerusalem's stones to Galilee's shores, experience living faith through their traditions and hospitality. Your journey is more than visiting biblical sites. It's about hearts that welcome your friendship. Your presence matters. Discover Israel.
Today, more than 1 million Israelis live in the Negev, including cities like Beersheba, Dimona, and Yerucham. Universities, tech parks, and military bases are expanding the region's reach. Yet, challenges remain. Vast areas are still underdeveloped. Communities face water shortages, infrastructure gaps, and environmental risks. The question isn't whether Ben Gurion's dream was right, it was whether we still have the courage to pursue it. He imagined a Negev that could anchor Israel's future, not just geographically, but spiritually, a place that demanded sacrifice and vision, and rewarded it with meaning. His grave sits atop a cliff overlooking the Zin Valley. From there, you can see miles of open desert, not empty space, potential. David Ben Gurion believed that the true test of a nation isn't what it builds in its cities, but what it plants in its wilderness. The Negev isn't a forgotten land, it's a proving ground, a place where the spirit of Israel is still tested every day. Welcome to Land of the Bible. I'm your host, David Sussman, and today we're coming to you from one of the most spiritually charged and visually stunning places in all of Israel, the Carmel Mountain Range and the Jezreel Valley. Thank you for watching. Make sure to join us next time as we continue to connect you to the people, places, and land of the Bible.